Rosa Parks was a name that would soon echo around the world, but in 1955, in Montgomery, Alabama, she was a seamstress. She was known for her quiet dignity and her steady work. Mrs. Parks was also deeply involved in the local NAACP chapter. She was not new to the fight for civil rights. Montgomery in 1955 was a city sharply divided. It was a place where laws kept black people and white people separate. These laws were called Jim Crow laws. They touched every part of life, from water fountains to schools, from cinemas to buses. Black citizens faced daily reminders that they were considered less than. Yet, within the black community, there was a strong spirit of resistance. Rosa Parks understood this system intimately. She had experienced its unfairness countless times. Her work with the NAACP involved documenting injustices. This was the Montgomery that Rosa Parks lived in. Few could have predicted that one woman's simple act of defiance would ignite a movement. The bus system in Montgomery was a clear example of segregation. The front seats of the buses were always reserved for white passengers. Black passengers had to pay their fare at the front. Then they often had to get off the bus and re-enter through the back door. Sometimes the bus driver would drive off before they could reboard. The rules were specific and strictly enforced. The first few rows were for whites only. The rear section was for black passengers. There was a middle section that was a kind of no man's land. Black people could sit there if the white section was full. However, if more white passengers boarded, black passengers in this middle section had to give up their seats. This system was not just about seating arrangements, it was about power and control. For black Montgomeryans who relied heavily on public transport, this was an inescapable part of life. Thursday, December 1st, 1955, began like any other day for Rosa Parks. She finished her work at the Montgomery Fair department store. She then headed to the bus stop for her journey home. The bus was crowded, as it often was at that time of day. She found a seat in the first row of the colored section. She sat down, perhaps thinking about her day or her ongoing work with the NAACP. As the bus continued on its route, more passengers boarded. Soon, the white section at the front was full. A few white passengers were left standing. The bus driver, James F. Blake, noticed this. He called out to them to give up their seats for the standing white passengers. The other 3 black passengers in her row reluctantly got up, but Rosa Parks did not move. The driver, Blake, confronted her directly. He asked her why she didn't stand up. She told him she did not think she should have to. He threatened to have her arrested. She calmly replied, "You may do that." Her response was quiet, but it was firm. It was a clear refusal. Rosa Parks knew what she was doing. Her decision was a conscious act of defiance. True to his word, the bus driver, James F. Blake, called the police. 2 officers arrived shortly afterwards. They boarded the bus and spoke with Blake. He pointed out Rosa Parks. The officers then approached her. They asked her why she had refused to give up her seat. She calmly reiterated her position. The officers then placed her under arrest. Rosa Parks was escorted off the bus. She was taken to the city jail. She was fingerprinted and charged with violating the Montgomery City Code. News of her arrest began to spread quickly through Montgomery's black community. E.D. Nixon, a prominent local civil rights leader, heard about it. He immediately went to bail her out. As Nixon arranged for her bail, the idea of a response began to form. Joanne Robinson, leader of the Women's Political Council, had already been thinking about a bus boycott. Parks's arrest was the catalyst they needed. That very night, plans were set in motion. The community was ready. On Monday, December 5th, 1955, the buses in Montgomery rolled through the streets, but they were mostly empty. The black community had heeded the call. They stayed off the buses in overwhelming numbers. People walked to work, sometimes for many miles. They organized carpools. Black taxi drivers offered reduced fares. The unity was astonishing. It was a powerful, silent protest. It showed the economic strength of the black community. This one-day protest was a resounding success. That same afternoon, community leaders met. They decided to continue the boycott. They formed the Montgomery Improvement Association, MIA, to lead and coordinate their efforts. A young, charismatic minister, new to Montgomery, was elected as its president. His name was Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The boycott was no longer just a one-day event. It became a sustained campaign. The boycott lasted for 381 days. the black community faced immense challenges, but the people did not give up. The boycott was a testament to the power of ordinary people. The Montgomery bus boycott placed enormous economic pressure on the city's transportation system. The bus company lost a significant portion of its revenue. Downtown businesses also suffered as black shoppers stayed away. City officials and white segregationists initially refused to negotiate. They underestimated the resolve of the black community. The boycott continued month after month with unwavering participation. While the boycott continued on the ground, the legal battle also progressed. Fred Gray, a young black attorney, filed a federal lawsuit, Browder v. Gale, challenging the constitutionality of bus segregation laws. On November 13, 1956, the United States Supreme Court delivered its verdict. It affirmed a lower court's ruling that segregation on public buses was unconstitutional. This was a landmark victory. The news reached Montgomery, bringing immense joy and relief. The MIA decided to officially end the boycott once the Supreme Court's order was implemented. This happened on December 20th, 1956. The next day, black citizens of Montgomery began to ride the buses again. This time, they could sit wherever they pleased. Rosa Parks, along with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and other leaders, boarded one of the first desegregated buses. The Montgomery bus boycott was over, but its impact was just beginning to ripple outwards. The success of the Montgomery bus boycott was a watershed moment. It marked a significant turning point in the civil rights movement. It demonstrated the power of non-violent mass protest. It brought Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. to national prominence. The boycott provided a blueprint for future campaigns. It showed that ordinary people, when united, could challenge deeply entrenched systems of oppression. Rosa Parks became an icon of the civil rights movement. She was often called the mother of the movement. While she appreciated the recognition, she always emphasized the collective effort. Her quiet act of defiance on that bus was indeed courageous, but it was courage rooted in a lifetime of activism. The legacy of Rosa Parks and the Montgomery bus boycott is profound. It led to further challenges against segregation in all areas of life. It contributed to the passage of landmark civil rights legislation in the 1960s. The journey towards full equality was, and still is, long and arduous. The story of